Welcome to our guide on setting up and using payment terms in the Odoo Accounting app. Payment terms are essential for defining when your customers or vendors need to settle their invoices. Whether you're setting terms for a layaway plan, which we will be create in the end of the video, or customizing them for a specific client, Odoo provides a flexible and easy-to-use system. In this video, we'll walk you through the complete process, step by step. What are payment terms? Payment terms define the schedule to settle invoices, whether it's a percentage, fixed amount, or full balance due. These terms can be applied to customer and vendor invoices, quotes, sales orders, and more. To get started, let's navigate to the accounting application in Odoo. Once there, go to Configuration, then Invoices, and select Payment Terms. Here, you'll see a list of existing payment terms that you can view or edit. Create new payment terms. To create a new payment term, click on Create and fill out the form. Payment terms. The name of your payment terms typically summarizes the payment schedule for that payment term. It serves as a concise summary of the payment schedule. For example, net 30 to indicate payment is due in 30 days. 50% upfront for a payment requiring 50% upfront and the rest later. Use a clear and descriptive name that helps you and your customers quickly identify the terms.
Company.
This field displays in a multi-company environment. You can leave the field blank to apply to all companies, or make a selection to apply to one company only. Description on the invoice. A detailed explanation of the payment conditions that will appear on customer invoices. You can input a description of the payment terms conditions in more detail in the description so that your customers will understand the conditions to complete payment. It will also help your customers clearly understand the payment schedule and conditions to avoid confusion. For example, for a net 30 payment term, you might write, payment is due within 30 days of the invoice date. Late payments may incur a penalty. For a 50% upfront payment term, 50% of the total is due immediately upon invoice generation, with the remaining balance due in 30 days. Terms. A detailed schedule that breaks down how and when parts of the invoice amount are due. These lines represent the schedule for a set portion of the invoice's amount. To set the terms, you will need to add a new line for every condition. Due type or term type. This is where you decide how much of the invoice is to be paid for a specific term. There are three options. Balance. This covers the remaining unpaid amount of the invoice, usually used as the last line in the payment schedule. For example, after setting up other terms, the balance ensures whatever is left is automatically included. Percent. A percentage of the total invoice amount. For example, if the invoice is $1,000, setting 50% means the customer pays $500. Fixed amount. A specific dollar amount for this payment term. For example, the customer pays $300 as a fixed down payment. Due date computation. This determines when each payment is due. There are several options. Due __. Set the payment to be due a certain number of days after the invoice date or on a specific day of the month. For example, 5 days after invoice date means payment is due 5 days after the invoice is issued. 15th of the month means payment is due on the 15th of that month. Days after the invoice date. Set the payment to be due a fixed number of days after the invoice date. For example, if the invoice date is January 1st and you set 30 days, payment is due on January 31st. On the ___ of the month. Set a specific day of the month for payment. For example, payment is always due on the 1st, 15th, or 30th of the month, no matter the invoice date. Days after the end of the invoice month. Payment is due a certain number of days after the end of the month in which the invoice was issued. For example, if the invoice is dated January 15th and you set 15 days after the end of the invoice month, payment is due on February 15th of the following month. Set payment to be due on a specific day in the next month. For example, if the invoice is issued on January 10th and you set 1st of the following month, payment is due on February 1st of the current month. Set payment to be due on a specific day of the same month the invoice was issued. For example, if the invoice is dated January 5th and you set 30th of the current month, payment is due on January 30th Once you've added all lines, arrange them in the desired order using the drag and drop handle. Remember, the last line should always be the balance. When you're done, click Save to finalize the payment terms. Layaway example. For our example, we've created a layaway plan which requires a 25% down payment and 25% every 30 days for 3 months. Important details to note. The down payment is the first entry. It shows that 25% of the total price is due 0 days after the invoice is created, i.e. same day. The next payment is the second entry. It shows that 25% of the total price is due 30 days after the invoice is created. The next payment is the third entry. It shows that 25% of the total price is due 60 days after the invoice is created. The final line is a call for the balance. We could have simply added another 25% line, but sometimes the totals don't amortize into equal amounts. Configuring the balance as the final line ensures you'll be paid the appropriate amount. Once your payment terms are created, you can assign them to customer invoices, vendor bills, quotations, and sales orders. Simply select the payment term while creating or editing the document. Benefits of payment terms in Odoo. By using payment terms in Odoo, you can improve cash flow management, offer flexible payment options to customers, ensure clear and professional invoicing. This streamlines your accounting processes and enhances customer satisfaction. That's how you set up and use payment terms in Odoo. With these features, you can efficiently manage invoice payments and maintain better financial control. I hope you all have a clear understanding of the concepts covered in this video. If you have any questions or queries, feel free to leave a comment below. For more support, please subscribe, share, and like the video. And don't forget to click the bell icon to stay updated on my latest releases.